So let's have a demo. It's demo time. What we'll do is we'll launch an EC2 instance in region US East 1 and in AZ US East 1A with instance type T2 micro with a key pair. Very simple. We have done it multiple times, but this time it's different because we'll be using CloudFormation template to launch this EC2 instance. Also, once the EC2 instance is launched, we'll go ahead and parameterize the CloudFormation template so that the instance types, regions, subnets are not hard-coded. Let me tell you the rule of thumb while working with CloudFormation template. You need Google and you need the template reference document. So Google AWS CloudFormation template reference, the second one, basically not the second, the first one, template reference, AWS CloudFormation from AWS documentation. This is the one which you need. Now in the template reference itself, if you see there are multiple things, resource types, resource property types, resource specification, intrinsic functions, pseudo parameters reference. So there are multiple references available. You'll have to use all these when you work using CloudFormation templates or CFTs. As part of this demo, what we're going to do is we're going to launch an EC2 instance. We know that we have to launch this EC2 instance in US East 1A AZ. We have to launch the EC2 instance with instance type T2.micro, and we'll launch this instance in our VPC which we have created already. So basically we can hard code each and everything in our EC2 instance. AWS CloudFormation template is a JSON document. We already have talked about JSON document. We know the syntaxes of JSON document. I'll show you how to write a CloudFormation template. The first thing is the AWS template format version. This is not mandatory, and the format version is of 9th September 2010. You do not need to mention it, but just for the sake of doing it, I have done it. The next one is description, and this description will tell what this CloudFormation template is going to do. So if you see, I have written this CFT will launch an EC2 instance. When you actually create a stack, you can see this description in the stack itself. Now this is not mandatory. This is a helpful component because if someone else is reading your CFT, they'll get a high level knowledge what this CFT does. Then the only mandatory parameter, which is resources. Now you can skip each and everything what we have discussed so far in a CFT, but you cannot skip resources. So resources are AWS resources, the resources which you want to create. For example, EC2 instance, VPC, load balancers, network ACL, security groups, S3 buckets, RDS DB instance, etc. You get the idea, right? So resources are AWS resources which this CFT will create. And all those resources will form something called a stack. When you use this CloudFormation template, you create something called a stack. That stack will be a combination of all the resources which you mention in this resources block. You can mention one or more resources. For this demo, I'll create only one resource which is EC2 instance. And what I have mentioned here is a logical name. AWS Foundation EC2 instance. This is the name or basically logical name of the resource which I'm creating using this CloudFormation template. The logical name is scoped only within this CFT. That means this logical ID or the logical name will not be addressable anywhere else apart from the same CloudFormation template itself. Then you mention the type of the resource. So this is where the reference come handy. So if you see, you have something called AWS resource types reference. We click that. We are creating an EC2 instance. So if you search for EC2, there are multiple matches, but you can find out what you're trying to create. We're trying to create an AWS EC2 instance. So this is the type and these are the properties for an EC2 instance. Now if you see, I'll show you a few. For example, image ID is basically the AMI ID which you want to use while creating this EC2 instance. Then instance type T2.micro, m4.large, etc. Key name is the key pair. Subnet ID is where this EC2 instance will be launched. We can add additional volumes also. So if you see, all these parameters or all these properties were used when we launched EC2 instance using our console also. So what I'll do is I'll use the console and I'll map the console components with the CloudFormation template. Now this is the properties block. The first thing which I should mention is the image ID or the AMI ID. Let me try to launch an instance. If you see, the first thing which you get is the AMI. So it asks me to launch or to choose an AMI, and every AMI has an ID. So this is the AMI ID which I'll use. Once I select this, the second option is the instance type which I'll have to mention. So the same thing can be done in the CloudFormation template also. The instance type is t2.macro, and then the next option is configuring instance details, wherein I'll have to mention the VPC, the subnet, auto assign public IP, etc. etc. Now, if you have noticed, if we just mention the subnet, that should suffice, because every subnet is associated with a VPC. So if you mention the subnet ID, or if you give the subnet ID, you do not have to mention the VPC separately. The same thing is true for CFT. We just mention the subnet ID. The moment I mention this subnet ID, it is automatically associated with the VPC where this subnet belongs to. By the way, this subnet belongs to the VPC which we have created, AWS Foundation VPC. Now storage, by default, we get the root volume type, and if you do not mention any storage, it will automatically add the root volume type. If we add additional volumes, then you'll have to mention the volumes. And we have an option of doing so. We have this volumes parameter which can be used to mention additional volumes if you want. And the next option is adding tag, key and value pair. Till now we have been using multiple tags like name of EC2 instances, name of VPCs, etc. The same thing can be done in CFT also. And this is how you mention tags. Tags is an array element. This is the first element of the tag. Basically, this is the first tag. If you want, I can give additional tags also. So I have added one more tag, which is environment. I'm saying the environment is training. Then we have security groups. We can select an existing security group, or we can create a new security group. Here in CFT, what we'll do is we'll select an existing security group. If you want, you can create a new security group also, but for that I'll have to create one more resource. That resource would be a security group. We'll do it later on, but as of now I'll select an existing security group. And finally what you do is we select a key pair, and this is the key pair, right? AWS Foundation key pair. We have been using this key pair ever since the inception of this training. So we'll do the same in CFT also. That's it. Our CFT has been created, and we can use this CFT to launch an EC2 instance. Let's go ahead and do that. There are multiple ways of using this CFT. You can use this from your machine also, or you can upload this file in S3 in an S3 bucket as well. And that is the best practice. You should have all your CFTs in an S3 bucket. I have already created an S3 bucket, AWS Foundation CFT, and I have uploaded our file in this bucket. Now this is the CloudFormation console. When we use a CFT, we essentially create a stack. As I said, stack is a group of resources which would belong to the same project or maybe the same application. Click on create stack, and then there are multiple options. The first option is design template. You can use CloudFormation Designer. I'm not going to show you CloudFormation Designer. You can select a sample template which is provided by AWS itself, or we can upload a template to Amazon S3, or you can specify an S3 URL. So what I'll do here is I already have this CloudFormation template uploaded in S3 file which I have just written. I'll mention that CFT, and then we have to mention the CFT name. You can mention tags also, and all the resources which are created using this CFT will get this tag. I'll skip that as of now. Then we have something called rollback. Now what happens in CloudFormation is that, suppose there are 4 resources. Suppose CloudFormation cannot create the third resource because of some syntactical error. What CloudFormation will do is it will roll back all the creations. That means, for example, I have created a VPC, I've created a subnet, and then I'm trying to launch an EC2 instance in that subnet. Say for some reason, creation of the EC2 instance was not successful. So if that fails, the entire stack creation would be rolled back. That means the subnet which was created, the VPC which was created would also be deleted. This is to make sure that we do not have any version conflict or configuration drift when you create CloudFormation template. If CloudFormation do not delete those resources, and if you forget to do so, you'll have some additional resources lying in your account charging you money. So that's why CloudFormation automatically deletes all the resources if creation of one of the resources fails. Click on next and then click on create. CloudFormation is creating the resources, and you can see that in the event. You can click refresh here. Now if you see, this is the name of the stack, and this is the logical ID of the resource which is being created by this CloudFormation template. There are multiple tabs here. The first one is overview. It's pretty simple. It is showing you the name of the stack, the ARN of the stack. There's no output. We have not created any output, so there won't be anything in the output. In resources, it is showing you what resources CloudFormation is going to create. See the logical ID. It is same as the logical ID which you have given and which is scoped only to this CloudFormation template. The resource is 672F. It's an EC2 instance. In the EC2 console, now if you see, this resource has been created, 672F. It was created by the CloudFormation template itself. And so creation is complete. Then we have, this is the event. It started the creation and then the creation was complete. This is the template. This is the same template which you uploaded, and you can see the same template here also. We do not have any parameters. We have not mentioned any tags. So I have created my first resource using CloudFormation template. And that's how it is done. Now, one interesting fact is that if you delete this stack, all the resources pertaining to this CloudFormation template would be deleted. Let us go ahead and do that. I'm deleting the stack. In the events, it will show you that it is going to delete this logical ID, basically the EC2 instance. If you go to the EC2 console, you can see that the EC2 instance which was created is being terminated. That means if you delete the stack, all resources which were created using this CloudFormation template would be deleted. There's a catch here. What if it is a production stack and you have multiple EC2 instances running behind an auto-scaling group which is attached to a load balancer? You have web tier, application tier, and DB tier, and you have launched database RDS instance also. Now the DB instance would also be deleted as part of a stack deletion process. Now that is something you might not want in production. So there's a way around this, which is called deletion policy attribute. You can mention this attribute in your CloudFormation template for all the resources which you do not want to delete, and you can mention what you want to do when the stack is deleted. So there are three options: delete, retain, and snapshot. Delete is default, so if you do not mention anything, the resource would be deleted. The second option is retain, and it says that that particular resources would be retained and it will not be deleted. The final option is snapshot, and this is valid for EBS volumes, Elasticache cluster, RDS DB instance, and Redshift cluster. What CloudFormation will do is it will delete the resource, but before doing so, it will take a snapshot of that particular resource. Let us do some improvisation on this CFT. What I'll do is, till now we have hard-coded all the parameters. We have hard-coded the AMI ID, instance type, subnet ID, etc. Now what I'll do is, we'll parameterize each and everything so that we do not have to hard code, and we can run this same CFT in multiple regions and for multiple environments. When I say environments, I mean corporate environments like Dev, QA, QC, prod. So let's go ahead and do that. Parameterize the CFT. To parameterize the CFT, what you mention is parameters component. These are the input variables. We'll mention input variables in parameters block. We'll take input from the user at runtime and we'll use those values in all our properties type. So the first thing is, let's say we want to take the image ID also. You can mention anything. So I'm just mentioning image ID. I'm saying the type is string. Let's take the instance type also as input from user. I'm mentioning the type as string, but I'm also mentioning one more thing, which is the default value. That means if the user does not mention anything, then the default that would be taken as t2.micro. There's one more attribute which you can associate it with the parameter, which is called allowed values. It is an array element. What I'm trying to say here is that you can only enter t2.macro or t2.nano or t2.small. If you mention any other instance type, if the user mentions any other instance type, it will error out or it will give you error, because on the only allowed values are t2.micro, t2.nano, and t2.small. Similarly, I have mentioned the other attributes, subnet ID and key pair name. I'm not using security group. Now the thing is that how do you make sure that whatever value was entered by the user, all those values are picked up here? That's where the ref function comes into picture. I'm saying here that image ID, reference image ID, this image ID parameter. So this is the parameter of the image ID. Let's name it differently. I've changed the name of each and every parameter so that there's no confusion in the properties attribute and the parameter type. So what I'm saying here is that reference the image ID parameter, what is being entered by the user. The same thing would be for instance type also. So reference the instance type parameter, reference the subnet ID parameter, and reference the key name parameter. So I'll use this CloudFormation template to launch our EC2 instance, but this is a parameterized one now. Click on create new stack. I have uploaded the CFT in S3 bucket. Now if you see here, it is asking me some parameter values along with the stack name. Now in image ID parm, we'll have to mention the AMI ID. Now in the second parameter, if you see t2.micro has been selected by default because you have mentioned t2.micro to be the default, and you can only select these three: t2.micro, t2.nano, t2.small. Why is it so? Because you have mentioned that these are the only allowed values for us. Mention the rest of the things like key pair name and subnet ID. If you notice, the parameter names have been put alphabetically. Even though I put image ID, then instance type, then subnet, and then key name parm, the key name is preceding subnet ID parm now. By default, it is done alphabetically, but you can change that. Let's not discuss that right now. That is a very trivial stuff in CloudFormation template. Click on next, and everything remains the same. You'll go ahead and create the CloudFormation template, but this time around, you'll get something in the parameters. In the previous time, parameters was empty. Now, if you see, it is showing you that we have passed these parameters, and this is the template, and the template is also different. It is showing us the parameters also, whatever template we had uploaded, and it is going and creating the resources now. It failed because it is saying that the AWS Foundation key pair does not exist. Now, good that it failed. I can show you the rollback process. So as the creation failed, it is rolling back the entire process. In this case, we have only one resource, which is the EC2 instance. Had we have multiple resources and some of them were created, all those creations would have been rolled back and deleted. This time around, I have selected the correct key pair name, and now it will go ahead and create the EC2 instance properly. In the meantime, let me go ahead and delete this stack. There are no resources, so no action would be taken. The stack has been deleted. Now this stack is being created. If you see, the EC2 instance is being launched, and the CloudFormation stack or the AWS resource is being created. So I have shown you how to use parameters also. Now in the next demo, we'll go a little deeper and we'll create a 3-tier architecture using CloudFormation template. So that's all about demo 1. I hope you have got an idea how CloudFormation template works and how useful it is to provision different resources using CloudFormation template.